Hi there, and welcome to the Play Therapy Circle. Before we begin, please note this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. It does not provide therapeutic advice, and listening does not create a client-therapist relationship. All views expressed are my own, and any case examples shared have been de-identified to protect privacy. If you're seeking personal support, please reach out to a qualified mental health professional in your area. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Play Therapy Circle podcast. I'm your host, Kylie Ellison, and I am so glad you are here. Hey everyone, this was a podcast episode I wasn't planning to make, but it is a very different kind of episode to how we normally do things here at the Circle, but felt really necessary to do today. So for those of you who haven't heard, today we were advised and heard of the passing of the great Dr. Garry Landreth. And I felt there were so many different ways that I wanted to pay my homage to an incredible leader in the field of child-centered play therapy. And I initially thought of just doing a short video reel, but I didn't feel like that was authentic to us as the Play Therapy Circle community. So I wanted to offer this special episode in dedication to the life and work of the incredible Dr. Garry Landreth. I have never met him personally, but certainly had the opportunity to read some of his textbooks and watch his videos and share in that passion of child-centered play therapy that we all in the Circle community love and adore. And so I felt it was only fitting to record this episode to mark this somber occasion. So what did we know about the incredible Dr. Garry Landreth? I am not going to do his resume of incredible accolades and achievements any justice, but if I was to offer a small summary, I guess, of what that looked like in the incredible life of Dr. Landreth. He was a Regents Professor in the Department of Counseling in the University of North Texas. Many of you would know of his work through founding the Center for Play Therapy at the University of North Texas in 1988. He grew that center into the largest play therapy training and research program in the world. So an incredible achievement under Dr. Landreth's watch. He was the author of many textbooks and written work, including Play Therapy, The Art of the Relationship, which many of you have all known and loved, including the first edition in 1991, and it's now in its fourth edition in 2023. It is the most widely used play therapy textbook globally. So many of our international play therapy community would know that textbook well. He has over 150 publications in journal articles, books, training videos, the list goes on. He was responsible for co-developing the child-parent relationship therapy approach with Sue Bratton, which is an evidence-based 10-session filial therapy model that many of you know well, and won in 2010 a Best Practices in Parent and Family Education Award. He was the founding board member of the Association for Play Therapy. He has received so many honours in the space of the play therapy world, including APT's Lifetime Achievement Award, their Research Award, and the Virginia Axeline Distinguished Professional Award. He was so many things to so many people and such an incredible leader in the field of child-centered play therapy that we owe so much to. We know in terms of where he stood in the landscape of child-centered play therapy that he was very special and important. We know that in child-centered play therapy, all roads led back to Carl Rogers in the 1940s and 50s, who was obviously essential in that person-centered approach to therapy intervention and believed so strongly in that unconditional positive regard, congruence, and trusting in the client's innate capacity for growth. Virginia Axeline was one of Rogers' students who applied person-centered principles to children, and it was the start of child-centered play therapy as we know today in 1947 with Virginia Axeline's incredible work in Dibs in Search of Self and her establishment of those 8 basic principles of child-centered play therapy, of all play therapists using the modality. Bernard and Louise Gurney in the 1960s founded filial therapy, which is the foundation on which Landreth built CPRT. And Dr. Garry Landreth's contribution is most significant here, that he gave our approach its name, identity, and structure. He defined it, codified it for training, and defended its purity against those who moved away to more directive approaches in child-centered play therapy. He was super passionate around staying true to modality. His approach and his framing of the intervention of child-centered play therapy was so much around CCPT being a way of being with a child, not just a set of techniques. And I do believe that that is, along with so many parts of his approach, is one of those key parts of his establishment of the modality that I think really connected the most with me. It certainly, in my 11 years, has been my evolution of my practice towards truly believing wholeheartedly in child-centered play therapy, but more importantly, believing in the fact that these skills should be shared and facilitated and offered to everyone in our community, whether it be parents, educators, families, children, stakeholders, that everyone deserves that opportunity to have access to the skills of child-centered play therapy. He wrote in his textbook that he believed that it shouldn't just stay in the playroom, that it should be shared. And I am very passionate about that as well, and making sure that anyone that has connections with children has that opportunity to use some of those basic principles and basic skills to be able to connect and hear children in the way that they know best, which is play. I first encountered Garry Landreth's writings in The Art of the Relationship when I did my clinical training program back in 2015. It was monumental to me as a practitioner because I remember in the beginning years of my practice, his textbook was my lifeline. I would use that if I had questions in between supervision sessions that I knew that I wasn't necessarily going to be able to have answered straight away, but were important to me to enhance my practice. I would defer to his textbook to look for some of those answers. He provides in that textbook some great responses that help beginning play therapists navigate the field, and gives a really incredible overview of how we got here, what child-centered play therapy is all about, and the application of it in real time. So I certainly discovered it in my training, but it has been a constant for me over the last 11 years in understanding child-centered play therapy more deeply. It is a textbook that I go back to every now and again. It has been the launch pad for me to move into spaces, including running my training and establishing my training program, as well as my approach to clinical supervision. His influence on my professional framework is very deep. And so I am eternally grateful to Garry Landreth. I think that the more that I have invested in my commitment to the approach, which has now seen me in the last 12 months launch this very important and incredible podcast and facilitating this incredible community that we have both in Australia and across the globe, that his reach is everywhere. And I think that that is an incredible testament to the power of his work, to the voice that he gave to child-centered play therapy, and the inspiration that he gave to so many people. I am forever in debt for his writings, his teachings, and everything that I learned from him. And I'm deeply, deeply saddened by his passing today. It marks the end of an era of somebody who was truly influential in our approach and in our community across the globe. I am always reminded of my favorite quote from him. I'm sure everyone listening has their own favorite quote, but for me, it always goes back to toys are children's words and play is their language. He couldn't have said it better if he tried. I think that as we become more and more committed to the approach and more, deeply dived into the empirical research, the contributions of so many others in the profession, all roads always lead back to Garry Landreth and his writings and his research and his teachings. But I think that at its core, it's about hearing children's stories and allowing children to truly be seen and heard, which was exactly the space that Garry Landreth created at his Centre for Play Therapy, in his writings and in his literature, and in the contributions that he made to the profession. So I think that quote will always stay with me, and certainly will be an ongoing tribute for me to hold dear in terms of his writings and his work, to think of that quote so dearly in the future. I'm sad that I didn't get the chance to meet him directly and be able to say to him how influential he was on my career and my framework and approach to connecting with children. It truly changed my life, and I know that for so many of you listening, coming across child-centered play therapy has had the same effect on you. He fostered that passion and that, I guess, innate connection with a space working with children that no one else has done, that I have found. So I want to invite you as listeners of our Play Therapy Circle community to share in the comments, to share on your own spaces, whatever that looks like for you, how Garry Landreth touched your life in your professional practice and your way of being with children, because his reach is incredible. It's global, and it deserves to be celebrated on such a sad day for us in losing such a leader in our field. I wanted to certainly do this podcast to honour him, but I think that as play therapists across the globe, what we can do, among many ways that we can honour him, I think is continuing that commitment of having a full presence in the playroom, to truly hearing children's stories before we step into wanting to fix or change or do anything other than CCPT with a child. That we trust the model, we trust CCPT, we trust the child, and we trust the process, because that's Garry Landreth's legacy, certainly for all of us. I want to, on behalf of our child-centered play therapy community, our Aussie child-centered play therapy practitioners, and our Play Therapy Circle community across the globe, to pass on our most sincere condolences to Garry Landreth's family, to his colleagues at the University of North Texas and the Centre for Play Therapy, and our global play therapy community who are feeling this loss greatly today. I am so grateful that this is my job, that I get to connect with all of you. I get to connect with children in the playroom. I get to connect with students and supervisees in this space. And I owe that to Garry Landreth. So on behalf of all of us in the community, thank you, Garry Landreth, for everything that you did, for everything that you contributed to this approach. We are forever grateful to you, and you will be dearly missed. Thanks, everyone.